So you got video? All right. So I'm gonna pull a handle. I have about 1/4 pound of clay here. I want you to think of this as putting it first as kind of this Tootsie Roll. And you're gonna roll this on the table. Make sure the table's clean. And you're gonna put a little more pressure on one side than the other so that it will be in the shape of kind of a carrot. All right, you don't want any wrinkles in this. So I have this nice little carrot shape. Then I'm gonna take this, and this is brand new clay, by the way. I didn't use recycled. So now we're gonna go over here to the sink, and you're gonna hold on to your carrot from the top, like so. And turn on your water. And you don't wanna put a ton of pressure. This is kind of, I know, it's a little funny. It's kind of like milking a cow. And we are just slowly stretching that clay. When I was a kid, my grandma used to make taffy, and we would make cold taffy. And so this always reminds me of making that cold taffy. As you're pulling, you will notice that it's a little wider and thinner. That's the way that I like this to turn out. And at the bottom, a lot of times a little teardrop will form, and that's okay. So a lot of times when I'm pulling this, that teardrop will eventually break off. And usually when that breaks off, I know that my handle is pretty good. I don't want it too thin. I don't want it too thick. So by pulling it, it's giving it the look of throwing a cup. So that way they match. Now we're gonna come over here back to the table. And again, make sure your table is clean and not wet. And you're going to put this into kind of a half heart shape, like so. So it's like a half a heart. And then the cup that you're attaching it to, you want that to also be in the leather hard stage. Make sure that you've already made your foot on the bottom of your cup. And then just kind of hold it up to there to figure out where you want that to be. And take a fettling knife. Normally I'd let this set up for a minute. I'm going to take my fettling knife and I'm going to cut this right there. And then I'm going to come down to the bottom and I'm going to cut that. So that's just extra clay. Now if I let this set up for a minute, it will set up pretty fast. So it's at half heart. And then I'm going to put it on like so. Get a shot from above. So that this is right in the center, so it's nice and symmetrical. And I just figure out where I want it to be, like so. I want that handle to be big enough that 2 or 3 fingers can fit in there. And then once I have that figured out, I'm going to take this away. I'm going to grab my needle tool. And I'm going to score. And I'm going to score. Now this is pretty wet, so I don't need to put slip on here because the handle itself is kind of like slip. I'm going to set that first one on. I'm going to put that second one. Make sure you're nice and even and that you're not sideways. And then I'm going to swipe down, straight down, and then to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. And I want to wiggle a little bit, make sure that it's really attached. And then as you can see, sometimes this will crack right here and it'll crack right here. So a lot of times I like to take a little piece of that clay and make just a very tiny, tiny coil. And put that right inside of there. Break it off. Break it off. Find a tool that you can kind of push that down in there. And then make it look like it's part of the pot. I like using one of those little potter's thumbs. But if you can fit your fingers in there, that works too. And that just helps to make sure that that handle doesn't crack. And then do the same at the top. And make sure it's little. It's not a very big coil. Like so. Work that in. Use one of your tools, work it in. And then sometimes you have to pop that up just a little bit. Give it that kind of little heart shape. I maybe should have brought this down here a little bit more.
Looks like a teacup.
It does kind of look like a teacup. I could have made that handle come down here, and that maybe would have been a little bit better on this cup.
Mm-hmm.
But at least you saw how to pull a handle.